Before the hyperwar erupted, the gnomes had enjoyed a long era of relative peace. This meant their military wasn't particularly powerful, but their tactics were something to keep in mind. This recap focuses on the pre-war gnomish royal army. I keep mentioning the hyperwar because, when it began, the gnome state and its military underwent such a radical transformation that it barely resembled its pre-war form. But more on that later. Let's talk about the pre-war gnomish military structure. The gnome army was a professional force. Soldiers lived with their units year-round, which shaped the unique way their military operated. The mob. The smallest unit in the gnome army was called a mob. A mob consisted of 5 soldiers and 1 leader, making a total of 6 troops. However, the leader didn't hold a formal title. Instead, leadership was decided within the group, often based on seniority or experience. Members of a mob lived together, trained together, and, during campaigns, set up camp as a single group. The crew. Next up was the crew. A crew was made up of 5 mobs, plus a capo, for a total of 31 troops. Capos were chosen by the head of their family, and while it was common for the capos to be minor nobles, it wasn't unheard of for a commoner to rise to the rank. A capo held authority over their crews, but the unit's dynamics still maintained a sense of camaraderie. The family. Above the crew was the family. A family consisted of 25 crews, which amounted to 750 soldiers, plus their 25 capos and a single commander known as the father. This brought the total to 776 troops. The rank of father was prestigious and often served as a stepping stone for nobles seeking fame and influence within the kingdom. Fathers were directly appointed by the king, and their terms lasted 5 years, after which they could resign. Finally, the largest pre-war gnome military unit was the clan. A clan consisted of 3 families, plus an additional 150 specialists trained in first aid, basic construction, and minor scientific fields. In total, a clan comprised 2,479 members, though for simplicity, it was rounded to 2,500 troops. The leader of a clan was called a general. This was the highest and most prestigious rank in the pre-war gnomish military, always held by a noble. A general was directly appointed by the king and answered only to the king. During their tenure, generals were granted legal immunity, meaning they could only be accused of crimes by the king himself. Achieving the rank of general practically guaranteed a place in the history books. This structure formed the backbone of the gnome military. Despite its relatively modest scale, the army's professional nature and organizational discipline made it a force to be reckoned with.